Hello and welcome back to the Cube Counselor. We have another guest. Apparently, I did not scare everyone off with my recent interview, so I have suckered another Twitter compatriot to come on the show. I have with me Elliot, aka Mr. Sniffygull. How are you?
I'm terrified, actually. I feel like I'm being held at gunpoint here. I attached this gun to my computer thinking it'd be fine. You've hijacked it, and I've got a gun dragging me into this. But
Peek
no, I'm
behind the
good. I'm
curtain.
good.
I do have this automatic gun system all hooked up in many people's homes.
It's the way of the future. But I'm excited to be here. No, I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed the
I
JJ episode.
appreciated you. I appreciated you responding. Started the show April, Marchish last year and kind of decided I wanted to have some people on and got tired of talking to myself. And I've offered it up a few times, but as my kind of cube circle on the social media has spread, I'm glad that some other people have been responding.
No, absolutely. That's the one reason why I never do a podcast or anything, because I'm like, I don't have a consistent co-host, and I really just don't want to hear myself talk about Cube for an hour at a time.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that want to hear about that, but
Yeah.
that is what we're here to talk about. I do have some of your Twitter up. You can probably see it here. So you see,
Yes.
obviously, I found that wonderful corner of the internet where all the degenerate cube people reside. I don't remember exactly. I'm sure someone retweeted you or tagged you in something, and I came across you. But I've enjoyed your content, your discussion on there, and recently even had the wonderful opportunities to draft one of your cubes. So I thank you for that.
Of course, I'm glad you wanted to draft it. It's just sad having your toys in a box and nobody can come over and play with them. And it's like, well, you got to do something.
Yeah, no, and that's. I mean, I know a lot of us are adapting to challenges in the world right now, so it's
Yeah.
difficult to this to say. I have enjoyed, uh, you know, starting the show and branching out in cube and finding people who are, so desperate to play their cubes that they host them and do all the trading and do all the hard work for us so that we can jump on. So I appreciate people like yourself who offer that up.
Yeah, me too. It's great. But yeah.
And I should have shared a link to your cube so we could talk a little bit about that. And while I pull that up, why don't you tell me, how'd you get into Magic? I love hearing people's Magic story. Tell me about your journey in Magic.
I started playing Magic probably about 7 or 8 years ago, right at the end of Pharaoh's Block. My friend Eric was really into it. We actually drafted of him the other day. And he was like, "Oh, you should play Magic. It's a lot better." I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh at the time. I was a huge Yu-Gi-Oh guy. I was like, I never want to stop playing this game. And he was like, "Try Magic. Put some money into it." I sold, a couple decks that I had from Yu-Gi-Oh. And I don't know if you know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's an incredibly expensive game because of the way they print things. Where they'll print a new deck that's the best deck in the format every set. It'll cost like $1,000 to put together, and then reprint it all a year later.
I did not know
And
that.
it's if you play casually and you don't want to play competitively, it's actually the best model possible because after like a year of the best deck being the best deck, it bottoms out completely. So you'll be like, well, this deck cost me $1,000, and a year later, it's like, oh, I put it together for $50. This is great. But I was playing, every week, constantly going to tournaments, going to bigger events, and I was staying involved. So I'd be like, okay, well, this is the best thing to play right now. This is the best possible version of my deck to play right now, and I'm just spending hundreds of dollars on it. It was a nightmare. So I sold a couple decks. I got about $700 store credit for these two decks, which tells you something about Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And I bought in. I bought Mono Green Devotion, and I really dug it. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is neat. I like the mana system a lot. I enjoyed creatures. I enjoyed spells. It was a lot less all in of an experience than Yu-Gi-Oh is, because of Yu-Gi-Oh, modern Yu-Gi-Oh design when I was playing was just like, okay, I draw my cards. Can I combo off and lock my opponent into playing the game? If the answer is yes, I win. If the answer is no, then I get maybe one more turn to do that. And it was nice to have a game that you could play. So that was really my start of Magic. After that, I got into Limited pretty quickly. At one point, they tried to do draft in Yu-Gi-Oh, and the game is not designed for it, so it was a nightmare. And I always liked the idea of building decks out of packs and drafting them around. So that really appealed to me. And then as it goes, I ended up playing Cube, where it's like, oh, let's do Cube. I was at a shop one night, someone was like, hey, my Cube, do you want to play? And I was like, what is that? it's just like a draft, but it's cards that I put together, and they pulled out their cube and shuffled it up, and we played well into the night.
Wow.
And the rest is history.
That I'm very fascinated about this
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh bringing to the game. I really know very little about it. I've been just very laser focused. I shouldn't even say that because I took long breaks from Magic, but Magic is really the only game that's that I've really put a lot of effort in and really enjoyed. So yeah, that's very very fascinating to me, and I did not know anything about the the financial aspect of it. What a
yeah.
nightmare that is. I mean, I know Magic has its issues, but yeah, coming from that, I guess you'd probably think Magic is slightly better.
Yeah, it's I'll think about like how much money I'll put into Magic, and you just get so much more for your value. Like if you just go to buy singles, you can buy your way in any format for like $500, and if you buy a modern deck for like $500, you have it forever. Pioneer now, same thing. You put 300-400 in, you have it forever. You get your basic lands, even buy your fetches, buy your shocks, whatever you're using in Pioneer. You can just build a deck from that. You don't have that in Yu-Gi-Oh. If Yu-Gi-Oh, you have to buy all your archetype cards. So it's like, oh, here are your insectors, which are these little insect like Power Ranger guys. It's like you can only use those in that deck with those. So if you want to play it, you got to buy your deck of just that, and it's fine. But looking back now, it's like, oh my god, I wasted so much time. When did I do this?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, yeah, hopefully,
Not,
well, it got you into gaming or
not to
kept you in, or
yeah,
hopefully
right.
got something out
Not
of it.
to jump on the Yu-Gi-Oh crowd, because I think it's a fun game, and I think if I had played it more casually, not been as competitive, I'd have fewer regrets. But it is what it is. But
So, about what set did you build your first cube? Or tell me about that
uh,
time you drafted into the night. You remember
you
around
know,
what time it was?
that was right around Cons of Tarkir, because we went from Pharaoh's Corset, I think M15 or whatever it was, then Cons, and there's a guy at the shop I played at. He had a cube, and he'd do that, and we would cube some nights. We'd do chaos drafts other nights. So I really was just playing a ton of limited, really, because it took me a while to get the taste of constructed, because I enjoyed playing my little mono green Timmy devotion deck, which still appeals to me. But I wasn't really winning that much as far as tournament play was concerned, so I shifted to the limited side, where I think I've done much better. But yeah, it was right between Pharaohs and Cons. It was just like kind of I would probably describe it as a modern cube.
Hmm.
And then I built my first cube. And it was an Origin set cube. But I kind of talk about it in the primer for the paper version of my cube, because we wanted to be able to keep playing with it. I had a bunch of the cards. My roommates and I put a cube together and played around with that, and then I started adding to it. And I kept up with it until around probably right after for the Gatewatch, like 3 or 4 sets. Kind of stopped playing with it for a bit, set it aside, came back with on Cat, and was like, I'm going to rebuild my cube because I have people who want to play cube again. Took it apart completely, pulled all my cards out, and said, I'm going to do Origins forward, and built from there.
Nice, and that's a good segue. Yeah, the cube we had mentioned that Elliot invited me to play is his monkey cube. As he explained it to me, a play on the term origins. The start. An origin of something. Evolving, and also origins, the magic set. For those who aren't familiar or newer to the game.
Chase's oranges, as the kids say.
Nice. It's so fascinating to hear how quickly you got to cube because, I mean, I've told my story a couple times, so I'll keep it brief. But I started old man Magic times back in around Odyssey Torment, like 20 something years ago, and played for about 2 or 3 years. It went through the standard rotation cycles, and that kind of
Mhm.
after I think my second one, I was like, yeah, rebuying in, and all the cards I liked were rotating. So I was also in college at the time, so lost a little bit of interest. Came back online a couple years later, enjoyed what I saw around like Conflux, and then didn't really get back in until around cons. I think
Yeah.
Dragons or Fate Reforged had just come out, and I just seen the multicolored cards. I got really excited, and then wasn't really sure how to get back in. Did I want to, go back to playing MTGO as I had found a couple years before? Started with Commander. That seemed like a casual way to play. Part of the reason I got out of Magic was, the cost and, how it sucks you in and everything. You want to buy all the cards.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, this is an easy one. And, I liked Commander, but the games were long. If people had more powerful decks, it wasn't as fun. And then I was into Modern, very, very little Standard. some other formats, tiny leaders even for a little bit. And then finally, years later, just a few years ago actually, I found the glory that is Cube. I wasn't as big into draft when I was younger, didn't take the time really to understand, how to build the deck, so I wasn't very good, so I just thought it wasn't for me. But now that I got back in, I was starting to have some success in draft and realized that was kind of more what I liked. And then again, found these things called cubes, and I'd played other like casual formats like that, like Winchester Draft off a big stack of 250 cards. Like I think they called it five color back in my day. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, then found the it's so interesting to hear somebody who found a slight niche in Yu-Gi-Oh that didn't work out, then liked draft, and then quickly said Cube is for me. Because most of the time I hear people say, "Oh yeah, about 10 years in, I had all these cards, and I started playing," and you kind of turned it on pretty quick.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I just got lucky. I was kind of in just the area, the card shop I went to. A lot of people were really into limited. Constructed play was still popular, but the limited scene was big. We'd have 30, 40 people a night playing at the shop. Multiple people that would have cubes. And so the one guy was just very open with his. He'd say, "Yeah, come on over, come and play. I'm not worried about it." I remember one time, I guess he just had a huge collection. Someone snagged a Liliana of the Veil out of his cube, and he was just like, "It's fine. I have another one." He pulled another one out and put it in. He's like, "I want people to play, and if someone feels like they need to steal something from it to have a better time
Whoa.
playing Magic, that's fine." It
Wow.
was a very kind of like enlightened sense, right? I was like, "Okay, that's a little crazy, but as long as it makes you happy, right?"
Yeah, sure. No,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, sometimes you got to justify that, right?
Mhm.
Boy, that's hard. But yeah, no, that's cool. And that was probably part of it too. I when I was originally playing, mostly played, they call it Type 2 back then. Um,
Mhm.
and my group wasn't as into drafting and things like that. And then again, when I got back in, I was kind of the only, I didn't really know anybody playing. So yeah, you're fortunate, you had that group. And now, the reason I started cubing is one of my close friends who played 20 years ago. He's the host of this YouTube channel. He, said, "Hey, there's this format called Cube," and I was like, "I've heard about it. I don't really understand it. I think I tried a couple drafts on the MTGO and was just like overwhelmed because all the cards look powerful, and if you don't really understand,
Mhm.
I think the first
Yeah.
time I ever drafted, I took like Elspeth Sun's Champion. I'm like, this card is busted and constructed. It's going to be good, and I ended up in some weird like red white, big dumb things, and got destroyed. And was like, this format sucks, you know.
Yep. Yeah, I had the same thing. The learning curve on draft is really, really insane. I'll never understand people who say to somebody, "Oh, you want to learn to play Magic? You should start playing draft," right?
Yeah,
It's like I think telling somebody to start with limited or start with commander is a mistake because they're both formats that want you to put a lot of. With limited, you need to have a lot of knowledge of how the game functions and just how to rate power levels, kind of off the cuff. Otherwise, you're taking stuff that looks really good and you're like, "Okay, I've got one bomb like you with the Elspeth," and then you don't know what you're doing the rest of the draft.
yeah, I agree. I do think if things like Jumpstart continue, they finally found a niche for like new users. But I don't really feel like draft is either. I get why people say that because if you don't have cards, that's a way to sit down
Mhm.
and build your collection. But boy, yeah, you'll be spending a
Yeah.
lot of money and a lot of time sitting there confused. But I mean, it is a good way to
And
learn. That's sometimes how you learn is those bad beats. But yeah,
yeah, I just was one of those things. Was like I could never imagine telling somebody spend $15 a week for like 8 weeks to get good at it, right?
yeah,
I wish they offered a better version of like Planeswalker decks. Event decks are great. I wish they did event decks more often.
yeah,
They do the Challenger decks now, but it's like every 2 years. They should every year just have like one or two products where it's like, here's a standard level deck. It's $15. Get into it.
absolutely.
And I don't get that model coming from Wizards. It's kind of a
Yeah,
mess. But what are
yeah,
you gonna do?
yeah. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they know that they've kind of got an enfranchised audience. They don't have to, but
Hmm.
I know for me, building like low power decks that were pretty even with my kids has gotten them into it. Just making sure that I'm not playing my busted planeswalkers. It's just let's bash some dinosaurs and dragons into each other, and
Exactly.
that
Just
really got them into it. So
goofy little intro decks, right?
yeah, but yeah, I mean your cube. To speak about it a little bit, is this the only one that you have?
I actually have several. I have this one. I
Oh,
have an
nice.
Ikoria expanded cube, which I made from a set of Ikoria and then the five commander
Ooh,
decks
I'd be excited
that
about
I'm
that one.
actually a big fan of. I wanted to put that on Moto, but the issue of that is that all of the commander deck cards come out of the treasure chest.
Oh, jeez.
So it's like $250 for like the 30 commander cards that I need. And I was like, that's
Oh.
not worth it.
Yeah, they
But
need to figure something out with
eventually,
that too.
yeah, post COVID, I'm sure we'll find some way to get together and draft, because there's the whole Cube community online. JJ, John, all those guys. I want to get together and draft with them. It's like, I'll go to CubeCon, I'll take a vacation. It's fine, right? But,
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I really like the Coria, so I like that. And most people I do talk to, like I'm still over a year now, just trying to build my queue. Can't really decide on archetypes and stuff. I'm one of those guys that
yeah,
take me forever to take that step. So, but most people I do talk to that finally take the plunge, like yourself, do end up having 3, 4, 5, 6
yeah,
different versions of cubes, which is funny.
because I've got this one, the Ikoria cube. I have an unpowered cube, which is an unset base cube with some black border stuff for archetype reasons, and then the power 9 conspiracies, where it's my kind of design conceit there was, you can have all the broken stuff, like you can have somebody take power play, you can have someone take world net, you can have someone with like 2 moxes in their deck, but if they're just powering out uncards, it's not that bad. It's like, wow, I powered out the big idea turn 4. It's like, okay,
No,
you're making
fun.
a bunch of 1/1s. That's cool.
Yeah, and I love when people use the uncards, and the those new playtest cards are really cool. And there's just a lot of cool stuff you can do in Cube right now. It really is the golden age of cubing. There's so many good cards coming out. But your cube, though, I mean, going back to what you're saying about it, does, at least the monkey cube to me seems like this would be a good one. Like for somebody like myself who's been drafting vintage and legacy and modern cube and trying to branch out more into these cubes, I do have a little bit of a hard time at first. But I think once you kind of settle into it, draft it once or twice, I think it's at a good power level. There's still really fun cards, a lot of decision points to make, so you feel like your draft picks matter and your decisions in the game matter. So from what I saw from this cube, with the exception of, certain people who want to loop, Nexus of Fates off on people, I felt like
Nexus of Fate is a broken magic card. I actually managed to squeeze in a draft of the Temur cube, and it's in there too. And I was like, here we go. This is the broken magic card. And it's the same thing. You just loop Nexus. It's like, this is an unfair card and should not exist.
Yeah. That was painful, but you do need some of that kind of, some of that, especially in, blue and other colors. You want them to have a little bit of a combo. And, inside joke here, people, I had plenty of opportunity in the draft to kill my opponent and wasn't able to. So, you know what? They got to have their fun. So.
What are you going to do, right?
I think
sometimes it's a turn too late.
It was at least 3 or 4 turns in a row, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that's painful to sit on the other side of, but that's part of cube. And then you know what? You shuffle it up again the next time. You get a chance to draft it too, so that's part of it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of cool things in here. Lots of cards that I like. You told me like several times, and then within each game that I played, after I played you, I would forget that it was Origins Forward, and I would I'd sit there thinking, oh, he's got Fork Bolt, and then I was like, wait a minute,
I always have to remind people that, like, Origins, because it's a really weird starting point, and it has become more weird retroactively since they came up with Pioneer. We're like, oh, Pioneer goes back here, and I'm like, oh god.
Oh yeah.
Because it's closer to I don't know if you were aware of 3-4 years back, the Japanese store Harayuya started a format called Frontier. It's closer to a Frontier cube than a Pioneer cube.
I couldn't remember what it was called, but I thought that I thought actually that Wizards changed their mind about. I thought they were definitely headed for that, and then when they came out with it in Japan, they were like, "Oh yeah, well we're not going to do that anymore." I'm sure they didn't, but it sure seemed like it.
I feel like they probably were heading towards that. Yeah. And then they well, now we got to go further back to differentiate from that. Because, I mean, Frontier, Pioneer, like, you're telling me that there's no inspiration there?
Uh-huh. It does seem a little suspect, Watsy. We're on to you.
I think about it since like, that doesn't seem uninfluenced.
But
yeah.
Yeah, if you called this the Frontier Cube or the Origins Forward Cube, it would really help people. No, it's fine. It's actually funnier. It's like we have to keep reminding each other. And then I would say to John, Cultic Cube, no, I don't have that because this is Origin. He would be like, oh, yeah. So it was funny for us.
There's definitely some comedic value in there. It's weird because people are like, what is the cube? And I'm like, just remember the dumbest joke possible. Origin of the species. It's like, that's it. Origin of the species. That's it. The whole thing is a dad joke.
And yet, do we have any of the flip planeswalkers in here? I didn't see.
Yes, we have Kiffion and Jace Vryn's Prodigy.
Oh, we do have JV.
And I
Yeah, okay.
actually cut Nissa like a month ago. She was in there for a long
Oh,
time.
yeah,
Liliana was okay as like a stacks piece, but she's just not worth it because she doesn't sacrifice the creature, so you're then having to sacrifice, and then she flips, and it's like, well, I've got a worse Liliana the Veil. Yay.
yeah. I do love that card, but yeah, it just never. It always. I never
And
see it played.
and that Chandra is just actively bad. Believe me, I've tried to play that Chandra so many
Hmm.
times, so many decks, so many formats, and it never works.
It's too bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one was the worst, but yeah, I will link this in the show notes. So people, I encourage you to click on this, check it out. Follow Elliot on Twitter. He and I did not know each other personally, but I felt, as I've said on the show several times now, the Cube community is very welcoming. I have not come across anybody who was, I don't know, inappropriate or overly spiky or I think people are competitive and we talk a little tongue in cheek trash, but I've just found it very welcoming, and that's been great. And I again want to thank you for that. Opening that up, because even at almost 40 years old, it's nice to find a group of people that have common interests and aren't crazy.
Yeah, it's so hard sometimes. Like, I just want to find some people to cube with, and it's like, what a nightmare. What does this turn into? But Cube Twitter has been really good. I jumped on Twitter like 6 months ago, 7 months ago, whatever it is now, and the Cube community on there was great. Everyone's very welcoming, good banter. Everybody's willing to answer questions, share opinions, and it's never felt like you said, like overly spiky or toxic or anything.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely have some people who have their opinions, but they're always willing to debate it and defend it.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's been good natured. And again, all the drafts I've been in, so definitely jump in the Twitter, people. I know people are apprehensive with the cesspool that Twitter can become, but I've been on there for I don't even know 10 years now, and
Yeah,
really recently found the Cube Twitter community, and it's just been great for reasons like today. We get to talk and meet each other more. So I encourage you, if you're apprehensive, take that leap. If you don't enjoy it your first time, there's plenty of other groups, Discord groups that have old drafts and everything. It's great. So if I can encourage one thing from the show, find some people to draft with, however you can safely right now.
exactly. The Magic community has never been more open or more diverse than it is now. So this is the time to come in and meet new people, find new groups.
Absolutely. And we are going to draft a cube today. I will also link this cube. We have a new Spotlight cube on MTGO. Unfortunately, by the time this episode is on the YouTube, you all are seeing this in the past. So hopefully you got a chance to draft the Temur cube. I believe her name is Ellie of the Veil. She goes by on Twitter. She was selected to put up her cube, and about 6 months ago or more, Ryan Overturf had a Grixis cube, and it sounds like from her write up. And again, I'll link that down below if people want to check it out. Sounds like she was semi-inspired by that. Dusted off an idea she had for this Temur cube, and it looks pretty cool. What experience do you have with it, or have you seen it? You mentioned you drafted it.
I did a draft. I looked at the list. I've been kind of seeing what people are saying on Twitter here and there. I was thinking there was going to be a lot more kind of dirtily good stuff, but it's definitely leans more towards being like a combo cube. There's Storm, there's Wilderness Reclamation, like we were saying, Nexus of Fate, Fastest Oracle.
That's good
Uh,
to know. I didn't look into it too much. I go back and forth. Again, as someone who's sometimes apprehensive with new draft environments and new cubes, but sometimes I do like to go in semi-fresh. I did watch J-Bro drafted a little bit and saw Craterhoof and Enray's Forerunner, so that made me think, oh boy, that seems pretty powerful. If you can get both of them.
I'm curious. I think they might be trappy because I was kind of looking at them, and I don't think there's great ways to cheat them out. Even because there's really good ramp. You have like Kennen, Bonner Prodigy is a good way to cheat things out,
Hmm.
but there's not like you're not like ramping into like, oh, let me do finale. I didn't see Finale of Devastation. I don't know if it's in there. I didn't pay that much attention to the list because I like to be a little surprised, a little fresh going in.
Yeah, me
Pick
too.
things up. But
I like to kind of glance over it and get an idea. Okay, is white the aggro? Is what kind of generally what am I looking at? Are there signets in this one? Yada yada yada. But yeah, I try not to sit there. And even so, I probably wouldn't be able to. Sometimes people pick out things that I would never see even if I mulled over a list for days and days. I just got to get in there, spend my tickets and try and figure it out.
That's really the best way to do it. That's what I like to do. It's just, if any new format, I figure if I'm going to throw away like 30, $40 on it, that's fine just to figure it out because the hands-on experience is so much better than any amount of theory crafting for me.
We're on the same page there. Do you archetypes that you gravitate towards? What do you like to draft in cubes besides Nexus
Uh,
of Fate loops?
yeah, right. I always like to draft like blue-green creature decks, rampy decks, uh, tempo decks. I almost always end up not drafting aggro, and I find this is like a consistent mistake in formats like Vintage Cube. I'm always like, I don't want to draft like Weenie, I want to draft Storm and stuff, and that's a horrible mistake. But
Not
like
always.
blue green, blue red, black green, like rock style decks. I love drafting like I want to say the words perilous forays, but that's definitely not the card. It's the one green black sacrifice and blow stuff up. I don't know. I don't remember what it's called.
Pernicious Deeds?
Oh, Pernicious Deed. Yeah, there we go. I was like, that's definitely not Perilous Forays. That's a green card.
Nice.
But yeah,
I only
I
know
like
that. Yeah,
anything
again,
kind of
I'm an old man, so that was one of my first loves. Pernicious
yeah.
Deeds and Spirit Mongers, what kind of got me into
It's
Golgari for
it's a
life.
great card. I love it. But yeah, as you can probably tell from my cube, I much prefer kind of mid-range strategies. I like grindier games. I don't mind combos as long as they're going off like turn 6 or 7, like Nexus of Fate or Heliod, Walking Ballista. That's like a turn 4, turn 5, turn 6.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm a big mid-range guy. I'm a big proponent of mid-range, which is why, speaking of Temur, when they announced Cons of Tarkir at Comic-Con, I remember being so excited sitting there watching it on my computer, and Temur pops up and the words next to it are mid-range fatties. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. This is going to be good. This is going to be a standard deck.
Oh boy.
And it was just terrible. It was
Oh.
just so bad. It's like, what's Savage Knuckleblade do? It's
Savage
like not
Knuckleblade
get
couldn't get
played.
there.
It's not going to get there. Siege Rhino's right there, and it's better. It's like, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It's like, that's a real mid-range fatty.
Eh,
But what about you? What do you like to draft?
I'm a green player at heart. I thought for a long time I was a black player, and I am. I love Golgari together. I love hand disruption, destroying creatures. But especially in cube, I've definitely my true heart has come out. I want to play mid-range green. I want to play ramp green. I want to play dorks. Any. I want to be in green. I want to play extra lands. I want to play lands from my graveyard.
Yep.
I just like what green does, and I will say I try to draft different things in here. So please don't be shy if I'm missing something. Please. The last two people I've had on, wonderful guests. They've definitely kind of let me go down the route I want to, and neither of the decks ended up great. No fault of theirs, but I definitely look for people who want to point out. I know we only have a minute and a half per pick. It's hard to sometimes explain, but before we start, first, can you see my screen?
Yep.
And two,
It's like, oh no, it's just pure black. Can't see anything, but we're fine. We'll feel it.
I'll
Just pick
I'll
the
describe
7th
it to you.
card.
There are some cards. They have words on them. Um, I watched the Ristic studies on YouTube on Siege Rhino, and they describe how they actually pushed Siege Rhino's toughness because they thought Savage Knuckleblade was more busted. So, if you did not know that, part of the reason Siege Rhino ended up super busted is they thought Savage Knuckleblade was better than it ended up being.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Siege Rhino it's haunted me for years, and now I play it in Pioneer, which is fine
Yeah,
because it's
I just missed that window. I did not get to play it in the Siege Rhino standard, but it's definitely one of the cards when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, Abzan, this is great. I love this guy. And it kind of brought me back into the fold. But
I wouldn't feel too bad. Historically speaking, that like Cons of Tarkir Battle for Zendikar standard was that was the $1,000 deck standard, right?
yeah.
Where it's like you need your Jaces, you need your fetch lands, you need all these dual lands.
Yeah, my Jaces were like 250. Oh jeez.
It was nuts. It was insane. But yeah.
Yeah, that was not the best time. But that block in general looked amazing, and definitely part of why I came back. But okay, let's see what we got.
Oh hey, there's a sneak attack. I didn't know that was in here.
Voltaic Key.
That's a card, right? Voltaic Key. If you want to combo it. I like sneak attack a lot.
What do you know? What are they doing with Voltaic Key? Is that
there's some stormy stuff. Candelabra of Tanos is in here.
Okay.
Shrine of Burning Rage, you could even do something with that. There's just Mana Rocks, Friend Dynamo, Palladium Mirror.
Well, we have sneak attack and Emrakul in the same pack. Where do you lean on that?
That Emrakul might come all the way back around. But
Yeah,
for what it's worth, I actually don't even feel bad if we loop back to this pack. If we start on sneak attack and end up taking like Kogla, is
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. I think
But I like.
I think I'm the same. I think sneak attack jumps out to me. Not a deck I always draft. Bums me out that Emrakul is in the same pack. But I think that you're
Yeah.
right. It's more likely Emrakul comes back than somebody 5 or 6 picks down says, you know what, I'm taking sneak attack.
And there's also like evacuation is mildly interesting, but I don't think I was not seeing enough mana rocks to make the kind of like wildfire evacuation decks worth it.
Okay,
So
respect
I'm
it.
curious if
I will
that's
say
might be a trap too.
it's probably good that Black's not in here because I definitely try to. I always end up in like a derpy Golgari deck, so it's probably good for me to break away from that. But all right, so we got sweepers, we got big fat Omnath.
I mean, I have a very dirty and intimate love for Big Fat Omnath.
Yeah, we can
That's a card
sneak it
that I'll
in,
play
play
every
a
time.
fetch land,
Sneak
right?
it in, play a land like turn 5. That's pretty good. And
Yeah,
then you just have a 5/5 and it pinks something
I think I'm
if we want to
highlighting
go
that.
that far.
Praying the stomping ground comes back or the questing beast.
Stomping ground or that. For what it's worth, the draft that I did previously, I have no dual lands in my deck, and the mana is fine because you're basically always going to be 2 colors. There's also Fran Dynamo. It's just generically good.
True, true.
Sulfuric Vortex is also really good. We don't have to marry our first pick. We could just take Vortex and try to be a burn deck. That's something to consider. I don't know how big you want to go. For me, I always go as big as possible and then live to regret it.
Well, I've seen this card many times, and again, I kind of came back around that time, and I've never had the privilege of playing this Omnath, so we're gonna go with that.
We got to do it. We got to live the dream. Every cube is the live the dream cube now.
Pretty much, and as it should be, right?
Oh,
Live your dream.
Chandra. Look at that.
Yeah, I think Chandra's the pick, right? What do you see?
It's happening. Easily the pick.
Hopefully, we get
If
this
we want to
right.
audible into a storm deck, we could take High Tide, but I don't think that's I don't think that's worth it. I think Chandra's really good. If she wasn't here, I would take Robert of the Rich
Oh, okay.
because I think it's a great
Oh,
tempo piece, it's a great aggro piece, and it gets you card advantage
I
just
like
to
that
go
card a
deeper
lot.
into the pack. Yeah, Venzer is also really good.
Venser
Uh,
also very good. Rebel Hulk's not a
yeah,
card don't think I've seen before, but interesting. Not for
it'll
us.
kill a person.
Yeah,
That's for sure if they don't block. It's the original Embercleave, really.
it is the poor man's Embercleave. But yeah, I think we're on Chandra. I
She's
love
head
Robert, and when Eldraine came out, I just thought that was a cool card.
it comes in and out of my cube so often because I don't know if I've talked to you about this. I always want to do red aggro, but the red 1-drops in my format are just terrible.
I think you
Where
mentioned
it's like,
that to
okay,
me, and that was again
you
one
know,
of the 50 times you told me.
where it's like, okay, I've got Fanatical Firebrand. Jit is pretty good. Jitty, little itty bitty jitty to committee. I don't know how you say that. It's pretty good. Dragon Master Outcast is also really awesome if we want to just force a landfall deck. But there's a very solid chance that'll come back.
Yeah,
Uh,
Jit
Primal
is
Might
always
is
good.
good for removal.
Oh,
Jit is probably stronger than most things in the cube, just conceptually speaking.
it seems like it.
Uh, Bloodbraid Elf is also really good. We already
Mhm.
have a glut of 4-drops, though, so maybe not. We are on Sneak Attack, so Enrace Forerunners is something to consider, but that's 99% to come back.
I'm gonna take
Uh,
Jit just based on
I think
power.
the smart play is Jet for sure. And if we get Forerunners, Bloodbraid, Dragon Master back, or
True.
even Incubation Incongruity, that's a search. Scrib Ranger is also really good because it has protection against a third of the creatures in the cube.
Mhm. I like it. Do we got
Fires of Invention. We'd be a
fires?
Fires deck since we're only playing on our turn anyways.
Hmm.
Searing
Okay.
Blaze, Faithless Looting is good. Mere Battle Spear is a cool sneak target, but I don't know that we necessarily want to be all in on sneak. My thing with like a sneak attack deck is I like having a backup like Fires or Experimental Frenzy, so that if you don't have sneak attack or good sneak targets in hand, you have another way to take advantage of your big creatures.
Oh, I like you saying that because I hadn't, that hadn't really occurred to me. It's just more of this being like a combo weird card. Not really having a ton of
Yeah.
experience in it. That makes a lot of sense. I was thinking Faithless Looting just so we can kind of dig through our deck and find what we need. Maybe we get it back. Maybe we get one of these back. We'll see.
There's also stuff in here like Courser of Krufix and
Oh, now you're talking my
what's the
language.
one? Merfolk, one green. Shorelight Ranger, right? Is what it is. From Ixalan. Double
Merfolk,
Explore.
Branchwalker.
That's the one in the green one. I'm thinking the double green one. Jade
Oh,
Light
Jade
Ranger.
Light Ranger.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the
And
double
are we
Explore.
on
That's it here.
Terastodon or Legion Warboss?
Probably Legion. Uh,
No
is
love
that
for Terasti McNasty.
Pyroblast? Probably Legion. I love Terastodon. I think it'll come back. Because
Okay.
unless someone's in a hardcore ramp deck, we already have the sneak attack. And I think
Yeah.
pack 1, probably no one is going to speculate on that. And the thing about Legion Warboss is it can wear the Jeet, and it makes tokens that can wear it too.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So you
Don't
want to have
forget
somewhere
my
to put
Jeet.
your pants.
Sure.
Speaking of ultra fair sneak attack decks, we do have Phyrexian Triniform,
Oh.
which I remember talking to Cultic Cube about that just briefly, where I was like, it's the perfect example of like I want an incredibly fair sneak attack target, right? Because it just gives you free tokens with nothing. Palladium Mirror is also there.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
I'm going to
which is
take the
just
Triniform. This is a new card I hadn't seen. I did.
and if you encore, you can eventually encore it too, which is not terrible.
Oh,
There's an Ulamog. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's what we're on, right?
I would probably just take the Ulamog.
Yeah.
There's an argument to take Castle Garenbrig because it lets us cast our stuff fairly, but it'll just come back if we really need it. But I'm thinking, regardless, even if we're on the Fires plan or the Sneak Attack plan, we're not looking to play the fairest form of Magic here.
No, we are not. No, we are not.
We got Voltaic Key, Lotus Veil, Shrine of Burning Rage, Goblin Welder.
Probably not. Well, Phyrexian is
take the Welder, and then we can cheat back the Triniform, and if we see Battle Spear or anything, we can start doing that kind of stuff. That might be good.
Yeah.
It's going to suit us better than probably the Shrine of Burning Rage. We can also take the Lotus Veil if we want to do like a weird splash, but that seems like the worst way to do that.
I'll spec on Welder.
I don't know if you're aware too. There's double shocks, double fetches in the cube.
Oh, I did see that. I'm glad you reminded me. Yes. Thank you. Okay, double shocks.
Stomping Ground is good. Pyrokinesis is good. Sweltering Suns is good. I don't think anything here is bad. Taking our first dual land is probably fine.
Yeah, I'll do that. All right, Robber, Wolf Run, this big guy.
I think Robber. Because you can throw the Jet on an early and it can pull cards for us eventually. Yeah. Actually, I think that's it. There's the Unraged Forerunners too, so we got that.
Okay, good. Now we got some little dudes to go with that.
And then I think we just, at this point, don't have to worry about taking any more sneak attack targets.
Oh, we got some good...
Take the Faithless Looting.
Yeah.
I think the Battle Spear is good, but we just want the card draw, really.
Even with Welder, you don't want Sphere?
No. No, because we can probably find some other artifact creatures to rest it on.
Damn, you're good.
We really came around on the sneak attack thing here. What is Gritting Ignis? It's the return it at Diamond Red, right?
Yeah.
Only as a sorcery. Oh, that's terrible. It's like, you can play it, and then it generates a mana, right?
Yeah. Generates a... Well, basically 2 colors. You turn it for 1 red.
2 colors. Yeah.
Okay, we got some good stuff.
All right.
We got other
there's Finale.
There's
the other Ulamog, who's actually the better Ulamog for sneak attack decks, I think.
How are these...
Diamonds are fine. I think they're good. Finale is also an option because it tutors for our stuff. Splinter Twin is an option because Zealous Constructs is in the cube, so that might be fine. Okay. And just I think people underestimate Splinter Twin as just like a value card where you're like, I'm just going to twin my mediocre creature and have a second one, right? That you can throw away. But I think my order on this pack would be...
this is a tough one for me. I'm going to twin my Omnath, play a land now.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually nuts, right? Where your first one blows up and pings them. You can just kill the copy to ping them.
I feel like
it's either twin
is like our like our G-Day pick where it's clearly the most powerful. We have enough fatties, so this Ulamog, although it does win.
If it comes around, is really, I think you just take it. Fire Diamond is also good. Shifting Ceratops might be good in this cube. I don't know, because it has protection from blue, but I think Twin is probably the smart guy pick. The super big brain pick where you're like, we'll take Twin, and if we draw a combo piece out of here.
I'll spec on that Twin. Awesome. I don't know what this guy does. Each player shuffles.
That's the wheel
of
effect.
Fortune, yeah.
There's a wheel deck in here for some reason.
Okay.
With like in our set and something. Plowunder is fine. Gum Gully is probably going to be good because we have a lot of non-humans. I might just take the Paradise Druid to start grabbing some dorks.
Good call.
And not feel too bad about it.
Okay. I was also leaning towards Fabled
because
Passage, but I know that's not the best. I just like Rumgully as a card. Look how happy this guy is.
I like Grimgully a lot. Yeah, I'm kind of working on a commander cube. I have the issue where I've got like 1,000 cards set aside for it,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I got to trim this down because I don't want a 1,000 card cube. And I'm like, oh, I want Grimgully in my red green section. It's like, well, then I need to make sure I have enough non-humans in my red and green sections. And it's the joy of building this cube has basically gone to zero.
Oh, the
I
stall.
mean, this is not good. This has gotten too difficult.
Okay, see, we got the landfall thing going.
Blightsteel, I think, is actually a superior cheap target
right, because
to
sneak.
something of Snake. Yeah. What is it's 10 mana? 12 mana.
Oh, 12.
Okay. Blightsteel might be fine. Genesis Hydra is cool. Lotus Bloom is also pretty good, just as a generic, like, okay, let's get to
This seems
7
like a
mana
blowout,
turn
too.
early.
Don't see this too often.
Heroic Intervention is pretty good, yeah, if we're worried about that.
Yeah, we may get that.
I wonder what the removal count in the cube is. We could also take Carnage Tyrant as something that we'll cast organically, or we have the twin, we could take Pestermite and splash onto blue, which might actually be a choice.
That's a tough call. We have so many big fatties, but yeah, let's take the Pestermite.
Because at that rate, really all we need to do is grab a couple different lands and we're fine. Or we could even grab, like, here, Solemn gets us a blue source, Tropical Island is a blue source.
Creatures you control have Cascade. That's a fun one. I love this card too.
Gives everything haste, double Cascade.
It's probably not
Metamorph is really good.
Probably the Trop though, right? If we're
Probably the Trop, yeah. The Trop or the Simulacrum, but I think our 4s are kind of glutted anyways, so I'm not super concerned about it. But if we take the Trop and just throw like an island in the deck, and it's like, okay, we'll see a Fabled Passage, we'll see some sort of fetch at some point. I'm not too concerned about it. Oh, the Antiquities War, that's spicy. Mindslaver is probably no. Blast Zone is really just generically good. Walking Ballista is generically good.
Wheel of Fate.
Excavator is okay if we want to hedge on seeing a strip mine or something.
I didn't see if that. I would assume that's in here, right?
It's in here. Yeah, I saw it earlier. Strip mine's in here, and I think probably something else. And again, though, there's fetch lands too. I think Blast Zone is pretty solid as land-based removal, like utility.
Okay. I'm always about a Blast Zone. I do feel like we're actually probably not green in the end. Huh?
We might
we're
not
not
be.
looking
We
to
might
cast
be.
These anyway, right?
We're not looking to cast them anyways. We might be blue-red and just have a few sneak targets that we never cast, and that's fine. You know, that doesn't break my heart. Or we could take Phylath and really be red-green landfall. Shark Typhoon is really good if we want to hedge closer to blue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know why that's still here. I would take that like second or third pick. Terror of the Peaks is really good.
Mm-hmm. If I just want something else to do something when these doesn't come together, but I think we're into two different.
We have a twin deck in our deck, and that's really what matters. I might take Terror over Phylath because I think the plants are kind of underwhelming.
So your pick would probably be Typhoon, Terror, Phylath.
Yeah, I would take Typhoon because if we end up going blue, that's fine.
Ooh, oh, I love this card.
Yeah, Titania is really good. We see some fetches. There's also Nightpack Ambusher is really good. Fires is okay. Field of Roan, Exploration.
I don't
know about. Yeah, this is a good pack actually.
If I draft again, I'm definitely forcing landfall and stuff because now I've seen all the cards that I love. Creatures you control have haste.
But yeah, definitely Titania. Even if we just grab like a Field of Ruin at some point or a couple fetches, that makes elementals for Omnath, and that's a fine payoff.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're on Titania. Spellbreaker. This is good for finding our lands.
Sword is pretty good if we just want to yank a land out, or we take Botanical Sanctum. That's fine.
Yeah, let's do Sanctum. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in this. I'm liking this. Oh, I'm surprised that came back.
There's that Ulamog. There's Edge of Autumn, too. There's Fire Diamond. I think those are all really good.
Edge of Autumn.
And
Library. Okay.
upside with the cycling, since it's sacrifice of land, it'll trigger Titania if we need a creature later.
Like that. Yeah, I was about this Ceratops. I think we have enough top end, right?
Yeah, I don't think we need anything else. If we
Yeah.
take Ulamog, it's just a switch
Oh,
for
we
the
got
other
the Fable
Ulamog.
Passage too.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That Cyclonic Rift is really late. That's weird.
This is the Temur
People,
Cube, and we're in Temur, so we're doing it.
right?
Oh man, lots of good stuff.
That's really good. Carnage Tyrant's fine. Genesis Hydra might actually be the pick just because it lets us grab something. Or are we leaning more towards probably blue-red? Probably not Tamio. I would say
What do you think?
probably Heroic Intervention, actually.
Yeah.
Get some redundancy. I think that's actually the answer. Champion is not great here. Thirst is pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say Thirst to find.
Antiquities War, that's kind of goofy.
Yeah, that's not that's all right. That's artifacts, right?
Take a bunch of artifacts, pack 3. It's like, oh, good, we're an Antiquities War deck.
I guess we'll just take Tide Spout, but we're probably not playing it.
Yeah.
Tangle Wire, same. Oh, okay. We did get a Field of Ruin. Maybe that sneaks its way in. Yeah, that Fable Passage is probably going to save our butt here.
I mean, our fixing at this point is basically where I want to be for a draft like this.
Tooth and Nail?
Tooth and Nail. I was going to say that's pretty good. Intuition is also really good if we hedge a little more towards blue, because you can just grab something. And you're like, oh, hey, give me a combo piece.
Okay, I like that.
Mythos is really good, because you can make something and fight something. Awakening Zone is just generic ramp and blockers. Dig Through Time is a good card. Ghost Court is fine. Harmonize. There's not a lot of bad cards here. Probably we want Tooth and Nail.
Yeah.
Or if not that, take the Rootbound Crag just to have slightly better fixing. How many non-lands do we have now?
How many non-lands? We have, yes, 22.
Yeah.
So we're getting close.
That's fine. Yeah.
All right, we'll take the Tooth and Nail. We have some ridiculous cards to get in.
I would like to see some more mana dorks at some point, because we haven't seen any.
Yeah, you're right. I definitely think
somebody's drafting like top end less creature ramp for the I've got 15 dorks and nothing to play.
Yeah, we definitely, somebody else was drafting that, which it's fine. We're we've got Sneak Attack instead, but I wouldn't mind seeing some more dorks. But I say that every draft because that's the kind of drafter I am.
Right. Everflowing Chalice, Tolarian Academy if we want to try to pick up artifacts.
Okay.
But probably just take Everflowing Chalice here, just as a little ramp.
Hard to pass in opposition, but we're not in that. Hard to say. Let's sneak in an Agent of Treachery just to steal something.
I mean, if we want to go all in, I'm just like, we're just a sneak attack deck. If we get sneak attack, we kill you. If we don't, we lose. Agent's a great pick.
I do like Counterspell too as well, but I think we're the man.
I don't think we're going to be double blue early on, right?
Yeah, we need some gifts of fixing very quickly.
Definitely, Chalice is the conservative pick here.
Yeah, we can get our Tooth and Nail early. I mean, we can even cast this. Yeah, I think it's Chalice. Ooh, this is fun.
Genesis Ultimatum.
No, that's fun.
I mean, if we just want to be the Temur Cube deck.
Yeah, we are representing the Temur Cube. Put any number.
I mean, I'm down to take the Ultimatum and try to play Fair Magic till turn 7 and hope that it triggers and wins a game.
What else can we do and hope and pray this comes back?
Yeah. I mean, it might come back because I don't know that anyone is going quite that crazy. We could take the Fumarole for fixing. The Immolator is really good, just kind of pseudo removal.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, Karn is also just generically good for any deck because it's filtering and it makes creatures. And they do happen to be artifacts in case we want to welder back that Triniform.
Yeah, we're really thin on early drops, but I am going to take the fixing. Titan always good. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Whenever you cast a spell, draw 2 cards.
Well, I mean, that's the fun pick. I think the correct pick is survival of the fittest, right?
Find what we want, right? I always lean. I just love Infernal Titan, so that's where I would go right away. But
absolutely,
you were pretty
I
good.
think that'll come back. But I think probably survival is the right pick, and then if we're lucky, Titan will come back, Song of Creation will come back, or Cold Steel Heart will come back, and I think those are all fine for us.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
All right,
But
seems
I
good.
think just being able to pitch some junk to get something we can actually play. Oh, Nexus
Ooh.
of Fate.
Is that what we're taking?
No, I think no, definitely not. I don't think we're blue enough for that. Rebel Master is probably the pick, or Smuggler's Copter.
Oh, both are
If
good.
we have enough small creatures. How many early creatures do we have?
Like one. Oh, this Ignis is coming out. So, geez, three.
Yeah, take that Rebel Master. This is a mess. This is we want that.
Yeah.
That's if that copter's not gone now, it'll come back.
Oh, I love this card.
Biogenicos.
Rada, I love Biogenic Ooze too.
I actually really like Rada. I think Rada might be the pick here just to get us some lands.
Clear us off. Or
That's,
Koithos. Oh, of course, always good.
yeah, Clophis is pretty good.
I think you're right. We gotta
Rada or
clear out.
Clophis, I think either are fine. You might actually take Clophis because we probably won't see her back. We might see Rada back, and she
Okay.
ramps us on our turn, and she's a Sulfuric Vortex. So if we get somebody down to like 6 and can stall for a few turns, they just die.
Okay, I like it. We've got some weird cards. She might even become a creature. Then we got Ilharg.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's our poor man. Oh,
Amateur's
Sylvan Scry.
There's nobody is taking these good blue cards. This is really sad. Like Nexus, Amateur's Augury is still coming around. That's tragic. Ilharg is probably the pick here because it gives us another way to cheat things in.
Mm-hmm.
Memory Jar.
It's probably our fault, right? Because I think we kind of made this draft a little weird.
This is true.
Maybe we forced people into some strange things.
Like everybody getting a bad lane,
Oh,
so we
man.
can be in a
I
bad
love
lane
this
too.
cube. This is great.
This is really cool. Capture
I
the
love
Triome is
Escape the
good.
Wilds.
Escape to the Wilds is really good. That always kind of fluctuates in and out of my cube too, because I'm like, this seems like a cool thing for red green to have.
But I probably want the Triome, right?
Triome or the Nissa might actually be good because the Nissa gives us more guys on the board, and that alt wins you the game.
You are right.
Where you're just like, cool, I gained 7 life. That's great.
All right,
And
we'll
I drew
take
7
Nissa.
cards. Because I think we're
All right, I'll go
okay
Nissa. Oh,
for
now we
mana
got
here.
Rootbound. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad because now we got this.
Yep.
Awakening Zone's okay, but
I think we
we're
just
doing
want the
good.
Rootbound Crag. I'd rather just have better fixing and be like, yeah, cool, our mana is perfect. We can cast whatever we want.
Oh, these both right next to each other.
Yeah, right.
We could prime
And nobody
Speaker.
wants them. We could Prime Speaker and go
Try to find stuff.
4 to 5,
Try to find our
7 to
Pestrum
8,
right if we
right?
have it in
8
hand.
to 9. Yeah, that's true. We could Prime Speaker out of Pestermite.
Probably doesn't make the cut, but I love that card, so we'll put it in the pile. Oh, there we go. We did it.
There it is. Yep.
We did it, Reddit.
That's it. We made it.
We made it.
Karma
probably-
Place.
We want Lotus Petal Seething Song.
Probably Lotus Petal. I don't think we want the Seething Song because it's fine as storm support, but probably not good generically. Scare the Critics is removal. Domri might be good to fall to fat creatures, right? Does he cheat something in?
No.
No, never mind. That's not what I'm thinking of. Yeah, definitely Scare the Critics. Just have some removal.
Oh,
Oh, there's that Rada.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, empty the warrants.
Oh,
We can make 2 goblins one time.
We'll storm off with our fires into Empty the Warrens. All right.
But yeah, I think
got some cuts.
with fires and sneak attack, we should be fine to cast most of our big spells. You know, because we get to 6 mana, 7 mana. You just play fires and you go to town.
Yeah, we actually ended up with a wealth of riches here, so put that there. Yeah, no, this is fun. I like this cube.
Yeah.
Enough different and interesting stuff, but still, giving people signals is good too, not just kind of shoving in sweet new cards and stuff like that. So, now we are. Man, I got too many cuts to make. Is Genesis Ultimatum better or worse than Tooth and Nail?
Definitely.
And we have Ilharg. Man, do we even want the Splinter Twin now?
We can probably be off the twin. Honestly, at this point, we could probably just go back to being red gray and cut the blue cards.
Yeah.
Lose the twin, cut the Vanifar, cut the Shark Typhoon.
I think you're right.
Be the 2 colors, and we're fine. And it's not embarrassing at this point. And then if we really want to cast that Genesis Ultimatum, we can. We just have our blue sources be tap lands of a single color.
I like the way you think. We're off this welder here too, right?
Yeah, we'll probably have to welder. I guess if we want to cut the Genesis Ultimatum, leave the Tooth and Nail in, that puts us at what, 24? We only need to make one more cut.
Yeah, we could run 16 lands. 'Cause we got plenty of ways to get through our deck, but we got Rada, we got Faceless Looting, we've got, well, that's not ours, but
It's,
could
survival,
get greedy.
Paradise Intervention. We could be a little greedy. And we have the Everflowing Chalice. I don't count Lotus Petal as a mana source. Do you count that as a mana source?
Like a half?
Yeah, like a half. Okay.
Yeah.
Just sort of kind of in the same spot. Because it's one of those things where it's great when it does its job, but when
Oh,
you
yeah.
actually need mana, you're like, oh no, what have I done?
But we need this
Maybe
chalice, and so I would count like these as like half. Like, so I would run 16 lands with these, so now I need 2 cuts.
we could cut the Enraze Forerunners.
It's true. We did
Because
not end up with, well,
we have the Goblins, which is okay, but in a situation where we don't have the Goblins, Enraze goes way down. Whereas I think like Ulamog, Terrestodon, the Tritiform are all doing something immediately.
right. The Goblins and GTA is enough. I don't really need.
Yeah, and that's pretty
If it
solid
was
synergy. Being able to
Hoof
throw
probably
GTA.
Hoof probably makes it, right? But
Hoof would definitely make it because Hoof
yeah, because
does itself too, right?
yeah, because he's just so much bigger. Yeah.
And I
Okay.
think depending on what we go up against, if we go against the tokens deck, I would bring it in over the Triniform. You know, if someone else is doing the Goblin thing because
Cool.
it has trample. Yeah, and then
Cut.
do we even want the Lotus Petal? Probably we do, just for the occasional odd start, right?
Maybe. I don't know, because we're off of blue. I really want to run this, but let's see where we're at. Do we not want Titania?
How many lands do we have that'll go to the yard? We have Blast Zone, Fabled Passage, Field of Ruin.
Yeah, not enough.
Maybe not. We don't have a lot of conventional fetches, and that's
Oh.
fine. What does that give us? Is that 11 creatures?
She's my favorite, though. Yeah, 11, yeah.
Yeah. That might be a little sketchy, but I think it's probably fine.
1, 2, 3. Really only 4 big targets, though.
Yeah. Which
Well,
is
that's happened.
my kind of take on the sneak attack thing is as long as you have a few decent creatures across your curve, it's not terrible. Because even if we just sneak in like a Rada and trigger her one turn, she's huge, right? She's like an 8/8 then.
Good point. And we have survival of the fittest to find.
To grab them, yeah.
To grab something. Okay, that seems
But
good.
I think we end up in a situation where we need an extra snake target, like it's just not happening. Pull out free mana Nissa, put in and raise Forerunners, and that's fine. Just kind of swap it when we're playing a game.
Okay.
Definitely play the Field of Ruin. I think is good, so we can hit people's Tolarian Academies, and I think Guy's Cradle is in here too.
You want Blast Zone or no?
Blast Zone is fine if we feel if our mana is okay without it. Put it in, but I think it's just go without it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just put it in. It's one of those cards that I like to start, but the number of times that it actually triggers in a game where I don't board it in, like if it just starts to the deck, feels like it's lower than when I bring it in, and I'm like, oh yeah, Blast Zone.
Oh yeah, yeah. I never feel like I don't even think I've ever seen anyone activate it in Cube. I'm sure I have, but it just doesn't
activated it at some point to kill like an Elspeth Suns champion. I think it was Vintage Cube. I was like, okay, I got to kill that, and I pumped a bunch of mana into it to put it to 6 and killed the Elspeth, and I was like, well, that's good. It does not feel efficient most of the time, but it feels like it should be.
Yeah. Well, I usually give people the option. You don't have to hang out and watch me stumble through. I can report back to you. I do appreciate your help in drafting it, but I know that sometimes the games can take a while, and having young kids.
Play, let's do some games, man. I'm down. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to play through the whole thing, even.
All right.
I love watching people play Cube.
Let's do it.
This is like we had a baby together. You wouldn't take a child away from a parent and say, you can come around if you want, but it's fine. No,
Well.
you want to be there. You got to see this thing grow up.
I like your attitude. Yeah, so let's see what we get paired against here. Yeah, this one seems cool. I like some of the choices they made. We'll see how we do. I might end up just boarding in this Genesis Ultimatum just to have some fun.
Just to do it, right? Yeah. It's definitely a card that I love. My Ikoria Cube. The tricolor cycles, I have all the ultimatums and I have all the apexes in there, so that's really fun. So I gotta put the ultimatums in. I can't imagine having the cube without them. Because it's just they're very cool. That's one thing I don't like about Arena existing, is the queue times on Moto have gone up, and I hate playing on Arena.
Yeah, I'm mixed on Arena. I enjoyed it, but really just don't play that much. I'm not into standard and historic, and I do still feel like you don't get enough coins to like jam a free draft. You really have to
Yep.
play, and it just doesn't keep my interest long enough. But
You're really grinding it out to be able to, do the free to play thing. It's just a constant grind, right?
yeah,
It's like, wow, it's 10,000 coins to do a draft, and if
right,
you don't go 7-0 on it or whatever, you don't make any money. And it's like, okay,
exactly,
at least, when you play on Magic Online, you open your free packs, you go 2-1, you get 2 packs back. Maybe you open like a Fabled Passage or whatever, you can get 10 ticks. It's like, okay, it's $2 more for me to play, as opposed to
right,
the full 10 on Arena.
right, right.
Yeah.
I do enjoy it. Like
But
each set, I usually draft on Arena 2 or 3 times
yeah,
and call it a day. But yeah, well, I guess everybody is not playing. I guess it wasn't in the cards to see your baby go to
what a
college.
nightmare.
Oh, there we
There we go.
go.
Here we go. It's gone to college. It's brought home a boy that I don't like. And it's like, what's your problem, Dad? It's like, he's got that goatee. He's got that little goatee, and I just can't get into it.
All right, we won the die roll. We're gonna win.
Right. Do you have any big thoughts on whether you should play or draw in Magic?
I mean,
I guess my question is, do you agree that it's always correct to take the play when you win the die roll?
I don't agree always as a 8 rack player. I often have
That'll do it, yeah.
taken the draw, but I definitely think more times than not you should take the play. I think this sucks, but I'm keeping it anyway.
No, I mean, this is fine because you can turn on the Chalice like turn 3 with the Lotus Petal and get a permanent extra mana, and that's fine.
Yep.
I've definitely kept worse hands than this.
We're counting on our opponent not doing anything, and there we go. All right, well.
No Bowmat Courier, no Goblin Guide. That's a win to me.
We don't want to Everflowing Chalice here.
I don't know. Did you ever see that they fixed that finally on Moto, that you can't just cast it for 0?
I did not. I never knew that was an issue. I never tried.
It used to be that you could just click cast and it would cast it for 0, because it would say cast or cast with Bolty Kicker, and you would hit cast and it would cast for 0 and cause you immense mental anguish and send you into
Jesus.
a spiral of depression for about a week and a half. And it's like,
Right.
wow, I cast my Chalice for 0.
I've definitely done that with other cards like Stonecoil Serpent and things like that. But.
Yeah. It should definitely have like a prompt. It's like, are you sure you want to cast this for 0? It's like, nope.
Do we want to Everflowing for 2 or no?
I would do it for 2, yeah, and just have it ready. And then we get the extra mana permanently, and that's fine. Because, as you see, it just has the cast a multi-kicker option now. Which is probably the greatest improvement they ever made to Magic Online.
The best fix yet. They still haven't fixed. You cannot undo when you put a counter on Wall Roots for the mana ability. But
yes, yeah, you cannot do that.
Oh, they got a Spells Manners Nickel.
That's not good. That's bad. I don't want this Terramander to end up being what does it turn into, a 5/5? A 4/4?
5/5, yeah.
That's big. I always try to cube that, and it's like, this doesn't seem great. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
This is the money. Just gonna Rabble Mash them to death.
That's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna Rabble that Dabble.
And then we get to hold up the Field of Ruin too, which is really nice.
Oh, as they bounce it or kill it, right? Oh, Burst Lightning. Yeah, we're done. We're toast.
That's it. That's the end of the game.
We should have taken the draw.
Concede the match. It's like we should have just drawn to the top 8.
We're just one sneak attack away from ruining their life.
Yeah, that'd be a powerful sneak attack.
Isn't that every sneak attack deck, right?
I mean, I've definitely drafted sneak attack decks where the curve ended at 4, and it's like, okay, I'm just putting in a lot of fair creatures here. This is fine. I'm going to sneak in this Pia and Kieran Nalaar.
Yes. I feel like whenever I do draft sneak attack, it's like that's what I end up doing.
Yeah. It's surprisingly easy to end up in like a vintage cube pod where somebody is trying to live the dream of like a sneak attack deck and they haven't seen the sneak attack, and
Yeah, that's
they're
probably.
just going for it. It's like, okay, well, this is not right. You took everything that I needed.
Oh, they got a counter spell.
Oh no.
Oh, we're toast.
Oh, that's fine. That's a remand.
Uh, we're toast.
We're not toast until we're dead. You know, we get that sneak attack that Ulamog swings in, they're gone.
That's
We
true.
Terracodon blow up our lands. That's it.
Oh, they
We
just
got it after
sacrifice their
that.
lands and then they attack back. Terracodon, blow up our own lands. We're good.
That's really weird to see the Voice of Resurgence elemental on the
Oh, that
Young
is weird.
Pyromancer elementals.
Huh? I didn't notice
That's very disconcerting to me.
that. Get it together.
It's just like the what is it, tryptophobia, where you see the holes and the holes really scare you.
Yeah.
I'm having
Oh,
like that.
I totally have that.
It's a nightmare.
Oh, no.
Okay, that might be bad.
Yeah, I think we're done. 2, 3.
Maybe if we cast this Chandra and look at the top, take the top card, right, and then maybe we hit something really insane.
We have 8. We can Terracodon ourselves.
That might be fine. And Terracodon
Yeah.
ourselves and just have blockers, and we take 5 from the dragon. Can he mutate the Terramander? How many spells do they have?
Do I want to kill this?
Can Terracodon kill a creature?
No. What the hell am I thinking? It's not. Why would they get that screen? Yeah, so I think I'm doing field.
Probably Field, Mountain.
Mountain.
Keep the green sources, then we're 2 and 2.
Aha, lots of elephants. Take that. And then he just adapts his Terramander and wins next turn.
That also kills us. I'm surprised Terracodon doesn't have reach, does it?
No. You would think a
Like,
giant elephant would, but
Yeah, all the huge green creatures that don't have reach. I'm like, why do you not have reach? It's like green doesn't get flying, but you should all have reach. It's like it's
every
a
green
design.
creature's have reach. Courser Cruffic should
Every
have
green
reach.
creature. That would have been great. A 3/4 for each. Okay, that's gross.
Sick rubbins. Yeah, their deck is good, huh?
That's really good. Yeah.
They were the ones taking all the good blue spells.
Right.
That's all right.
And now they're gonna play a
what?
land next to the Fate Lipus.
For real? Oh, they're just gonna attack. Oh, they're not even gonna pump it. What?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. We're pretty much toast, but yeah, we're dead, right?
Yeah, I don't think we have an out here. We needed to grab a Sweltering Suns or something. Would have been good.
Yeah, we saw it early too. I didn't take it.
I'm always like, man, do I take a board wipe in this cube? And I never take board wipes, and it's always a mistake.
All right. So what are we on here? I don't think we got much to do. We try to twin them out.
Just side in all the blue sources, try to twin them out or ultimatum them. Maybe bring in the blast zone. Maybe not. Probably not.
No.
That feels like too much.
I mean, it is something. I think we just kept a lousy hand.
Yeah. We gambled and we lost.
We gambled and we lost. It's definitely part
So
of
you never
magic,
take
right?
me to the casino. Yeah.
Now we finally have sneak attack. But we
In
have
Paradise
Lucky Lens.
Druid. This hand is great because we go Fabled Passage, Mountain, Land, Paradise Druid, Sneak Attack, Ulamog.
Gotta draw the land. We'll do it.
As long as we draw land. Yeah. If we don't draw land, and then we're just in Bad Beat City.
Bad Beat City. Oh, they're mulliganing.
Hopefully they just go to 5 or 4 or 3. Or they're the rare person who just rages all the way down to 0 cards. And then proceeds to swear at you in the chat, and you're like, "I'm so sorry this happened to you. No one deserves this." And you're trying to.
Speaking of which, we got to put the ignore chat on there. Important. I know we talk on the show about mental health. Important for my mental health is ignoring the chat.
Yes, yeah. I've definitely found ignoring the chat is good for my mental health. I have noticed that since they made the chat not always pop up when you start a game, people tend to use it less aggressively, which is nice.
There's the fires. All right, hexproof.
Definitely, kind of the intersection of magic and mental health has been very interesting for me because it's one of those things where when my experience with it is very positive, my mental health tends to shoot up, and when I have a worse experience, it tends to shoot down. And I'm like, what happened?
Hmm.
Why is this? Why is this intersection? Why am I letting this affect me?
Yeah, I mean that's something I definitely struggle with too, and obviously a lot of players. Oh, there we go. We did it. Um, are they trying to counter us?
This might be a remand. Oh, you know what? Maybe do Fire's
Chandra?
Invention and bait the counterspell. And then
Sure.
worst case, if the Fires lands, you just cast the Chandra off of it. That's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, they're definitely remanding here. Yeah, like a lot of people, I've talked to, and that's part of the impetus of the show is that
Yeah.
chicken and egg, right? Do we come to these games because we are people who struggle in those areas, or do we, is the game bringing out those things in us? I don't know,
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, I was just talking with somebody last week. That you sit there, you think about it, you get frustrated from it, then you're frustrated because you're spending time thinking about it, like you said, like
Yep.
it's
And
just
it's
a
just that
game. Why am
kind
I
of
wallowing on
never-ending
it?
cycle. Yep. It's like, do I need to play through it? Should I stop and take a break?
Yeah,
And I think that's always been a very interesting part of managing any sort of mental health issue I have. Is like, is it better to confront it right away, or cool off and go back? Right? You know,
I agree with you
growing up,
100%.
I had like a really bad, I had a really bad temper as I was growing up. So it was always the question of, do I let it kind of carry over and get me in trouble, or do I recuse myself to a room, close the door, and calm down? Maybe the worst thing that happens is I kick the dresser.
I walked
That's
right into that.
what is that? Ionize? Oh
Ionized.
no,
I walked right into that.
that's okay. Hit him with the
Hit
druid,
him. Yeah, lose my
and then
XP.
next turn we'll throw the Jeet on it and just go to town, make him
There we go.
suffer,
That'll teach him.
get revenge.
But I think you bring up a good point. I think the key is you pause, you reflect.
Mhm.
Is this normal? Yeah, sometimes we get mad. We spent tickets on this. We spent time investing, and we lost, or we played poorly, or we made a mistake. I think that's okay. Emotions are fine. It's just
Yeah,
how is it affecting me? Yeah, if every time I lose, I knock my computer over, I tear up my cards. Okay, then you need to step away and say what's really going on. I need to reflect on that, or maybe get some help and how I better cope. But not being having emotions isn't the issue, and I think sometimes that's what people get
exactly.
stuck on. They're like, oh, I got mad, I got upset. Well, that's
Yeah.
okay.
I shouldn't be mad. I shouldn't be sad. I shouldn't be feeling it. It's like, no, it's good to feel emotions. It's good to be going through these cycles and phases. It's just understanding them, why they're affecting you the way they are, yada yada yada, so that you can kind of analyze and heal from them.
Exactly.
A big part of the biggest issue I've had probably in my life with my personal like pursuit of mental health is that's insane. The Arclight Phoenix. It's like, why?
The
Why does
hard
this
test.
happen to us?
Why
Is
is that even in here?
for most of my like young adulthood, childhood, youth period, I put way too much emphasis on making other people happy. My emotions were always tied to, is this person that I'm trying to please happy? And if not, then I would be sad. And it was just having to unlearn that. It's great to help people. It's great to try to please people here and there, but you can't let someone else's ups and downs be your own ups and downs.
Right. Right. And not an easy conclusion to come to. Sometimes we have to have that
Yeah.
experience. It is difficult. I mean, a lot of mental health is experience, and over time, we learn. You can't just have somebody come up to you and tell you that. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Hopefully, again, my hope in doing this show is that we share our stories, may help somebody. We don't know, but I think it's just part of it is removing that stigma, talking about it.
Hmm.
These are all good things.
Yeah, I think that no one should ever be ashamed to talk about what they're going through. Whether it's even just like something at work that's not necessarily like draining on them, or deeper mental issues they're having, because there is a ton of stigma. I remember as a kid, I had some depression and anxiety issues that were really getting out of hand, and I would often be asked, you're a kid. What do you have to be anxious about? Why are you sad? It's just, it's the least helpful thing in the world, right? For people to say like, well, what's wrong? And it's like, it's something is wrong. Let me tell you about it and acknowledge that.
Hmm.
Just kind of acknowledging somebody's feelings is the most important thing you can do.
Yeah, especially when you're a kid, just saying,
Mhm.
yeah, these things are normal. So
Yeah,
yeah, but you have a lot to be. Childhood, teenage years are a grind, and
it's insane. Yeah.
it's just yeah. I mean, I work with, my profession is the helping profession, and there's still a lot of adults who just they lose sight of that real quick. It's like once you get to be like
Mhm.
25, you forget, and maybe because of
You
their own
forget how bad it
struggles,
was to be a kid, right?
they repress their own. So they're like, oh, suck it up. You got. It's like, well, do you remember,
Right.
like, you're growing, you're changing, you don't know what you want to be. Everyone's telling you go to
Mhm.
school, and you don't want to go to school, and you're trying to find relationships. There's a lot,
It's a
friendships,
ton. It's
parents
insane.
fighting.
I
It's
can't
fun.
even imagine going through, like junior high, high school now, where it was pretty bad. I think, what is 2001, 19 years ago? I was like 10 or whatever when 9/11 happened and things started to get really weird in schools, right? Where they started to crack down on things like, oh, you can't threaten anybody, you can't do anything like that. It became this really kind of tense, rigid structure where it's like, don't express yourself too much because we're going to be worried you're going to shoot up the school, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I had a buddy who was not so politely asked to leave the school because they felt like he fit in around the Columbine time
yeah,
when I was in
and
school. It's
it's
just yeah,
great. Instead of helping these people, we exclude them, right? So
right.
there is a lot of, control your emotions, don't show anything, keep it pulled down. And I can't imagine going through that now, plus like active shooter drills where these kids do active shooter drills 3 times a week.
Yeah,
My mom babysits, and she knows some of these parents who have kids in like middle school and high school, and it's like, yeah, 3 times a week they make them get under the desk and do active shooter drills, and it's like, that's crazy. Right?
it is crazy.
God forbid we change like a gun control policy, but we'd rather give kids bulletproof backpacks and just see the stress and anxiety that would cause you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
nuts. And then they tell you not to expose yourself or feel too much. This has just really gone off the rails here.
yeah. You talk about emotions. I'm having a lot right
Yeah.
now.
I I'm glad that I'm not playing this game because I'd be like, what happened? What
Yeah.
happened? I'd
I
have my
mean,
face on the keyboard. I'd be a couple tears coming down.
right. I mean, yeah. I do go back and forth, but because I'm recording right now, I'll take the high road. Yeah, you just see they just had every answer. I mean, what can I do?
Yeah, sometimes your opponent just has the answers, right? And
the
that's why.
the try to cheat big fatties against the endless counterspell deck is not gonna get there.
It's like you played fair magic against against the fair place. It's like, okay, that's fine.
But you know,
But
maybe
what are you gonna
we
do?
maybe
That's
we missed a couple key pieces. I know, and again that first game I should have mulliganed, but I hate to mulligan
yeah.
that first game, but it is what it is.
It's kind of goes with the learning curve of figuring out a set, figuring out a cube. It's just sometimes you want to just keep a bad hand and see how bad it can get, right?
Hmm. I certainly didn't
I'll
expect
definitely.
the blue red spell stack to be bashing me for 8 on like turn 3, but
Yes, yeah. Arclight Phoenix is pretty nutty, and then once he had a few Pyromancer spells out, it's like, okay, I guess we're dying, right?
guess we're dying. All right, 6 mana. I guess we're dying.
one mana more, we would have been fine.
1 mana more.
Why did I tell you to attack with that Paradise Druid?
Right?
Why did we send the message? Would have been
Yeah,
Tufanel,
of course
Omnath,
he
and they
had
would
the.
have gone, oh,
No, they still would have. Yeah.
yeah,
What can
I
you
would have had
do?
it in the air.
Well, I do appreciate it. I'm gonna go check on my younglings, make sure they're not wandering the house. But yeah,
Yes,
I'll
as
let you know.
I tend to do.
I'll let you know how the other two go, and I mean, definitely will include Twitter, your Twitter handle, your link. Anything else? Anything else that you want to plug? We'll also include the monkey cube in there.
Yeah, I think that's it. I would just note that if you're looking at the cube, check out both versions. There's the Regenesis is the paper version, and then the MTGO edition is the one that's probably going to see more play. Because I imagine over the next few months, I'm just going to stick to doing it digitally since with coronavirus, I'm not getting out of the house.
Oh, tell me. Hey,
But
actually, talk a
that's
little bit
it.
about that. I forgot. There's 2 different versions.
Yeah, so Regenesis is the paper version. It's a little wonky right now. If you look, you'll actually see like some of the lands and stuff are unbalanced, so it's not. Uh, not perfect, and I'll probably do another update on it when Kaldheim drops. But I'm thinking for now, I'm just going to keep it uh, bottom right, I believe, is the Moto version. But I'm probably just going to keep it on Moto and update it there. It's a little bit cheaper, easier to update. I can do more sweeping changes to things for if I want to buy like 10 cards, it's going to be like $20, which is great, as opposed to updating the paper version, which isn't going to see any play. And then it's like, well, I spent $100 on cards for this, and they're just sitting in a box.
Yeah, yeah. I feel
Yeah,
for those cubers. Yeah, I see a lot of the posts, and they're getting their foil cards and pimping their stuff out. You know what? And if that's what they want to do, but yeah, it's hard to look at the cards just kind of sitting. But we will get back to it. Things look like
yeah.
they're on, and I
It'll
and I
it'll
look
happen
forward to that.
eventually, right?
I look
Yeah,
forward to hopefully eventually drafting this in person because I did enjoy it.
yeah.
And it seems like it's definitely a cube that's got a lot of stuff I like to do.
I'm definitely going to be doing more of those drafts too. I'm hoping to every couple weeks, once a month at least, just get people together and do it because I just to kind of keep the draft muscles going, right? You know.
Yeah, no, that's great. I definitely look forward to it. Hopefully, I'll be able to jump in the next one. And I appreciate you coming on and being so open and honest. I think that that's something we need to say as well for those who share. It still takes a lot to take that step.
You
So I
know,
appreciate it.
it is what it is. You live your life. You do what you can. You take the steps every day to make sure that you're fine. That's
Well,
that's at the end of the day. The bottom line is you take care of yourself, and what you got to do is what you got to do, and everyone deserves to be happy, right? And if being honest about it can help somebody else, that's great.
I agree, sir. The motto of the show is "We get better together," and that translates, I think, in magic and I think in life in general. That's why we chose it. So I appreciate you participating in that, and I look forward to talking to you online and hopefully talking again in person, whether it's draft or on the show again.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. You have a good night.
Thanks, Elliot.
Bye.
All right, we are back, and we thank our guest, Mr. Sniffygull himself, for tuning in. I will include his Twitter handle. He has been announcing on Twitter some weekend cube games, which I was fortunate enough to play in one a few weeks ago. So I do appreciate him coming on the show, drafting with me, talking about some honest subject matter. We really appreciate that here. And yeah, hoping to get some more games in with him in some live-ish cube drafts with his Monkey Origins cube. But yeah, we ended up 1-2 with this deck, and that's okay. We got a couple play points back, had some fun. Had a good discussion with him about kind of where his head is at with these kind of cubes. Didn't get to draft it much outside of this league with Sniffy with Elliot. So that's okay. Sometimes you don't have time to go back at it, and part of that is because shameless plug time. I am currently running a Kickstarter for my new comic book project, so the comic and cube counselor this week. So did want to give a shameless plug. I am a social worker by trade. I've mentioned here many times, and I'm kind of putting that into another creative project, not just the cube counselor, but we have Child Possession Services is a book about a burnt out social worker who works with bedeviled children. So if you wouldn't mind, even if you just share the link, I'll put it in the show notes. It really helps. Even though we've reached our first funding goal, we always, and I think we even got somebody funded while we were here, so that's awesome. Um, yeah, being a small press publisher, we can always use the extra funds to print more copies, give copies to contributors. My awesome and longtime collaborator Bob Gar Ornelas does the art. We have Winston Gambro on colors, and Bob even did some of the coloring as well. I do the lettering. And yeah, we have a great creative team. I think we have a fun and interesting story. It's a little slice of life, a little horror, a little action, and I think it's a decent package. We have pledges that you can pledge it at pretty much any budget level. So if you're doing okay out there and you feel like you're able to contribute to something like that, we certainly would appreciate it. So shameless plug over. We thank our guest for coming on. It's been about a week and a half since we recorded, but with this campaign going on for another 19 days, or I guess I should say about 17 days by the time you hear this, we wanted to include that in here and try to get as many eyes on the project as we can. So we'll be back in a couple weeks with another Cube Counselor. We've had a lot of great guests the last few weeks. This year has started off awesome with, ending the year with J Bro, and then we had Charlie, and now Sniffy Elliot on as well. So we are, excited. If you'd like to be on the show, shoot me a DM. At I'm on Twitter at anti_drummer. And as we say on the show, we get better together. So come on the show and help share your story with magic and mental health, and help others get better. So take care, everybody.